Hi, I'm Marc Wainer. Mentoring is a brain to pick, an ear to listen, and a push in the right direction. Without exception, every successful person in any field will acknowledge that mentorship has played a huge role in getting them where they are. The purpose of this program is to connect you with a mentor who will do the same for you. So if you have what it takes to climb the ladder to success, register on our website. I can assure you it will be one of the best decisions you ever make. I'm delighted to have with me in the studio somebody whose organization is very, very close to my heart, Rosemary Nalden, representing the Soweto Buskaid String Ensemble, together with Lesego. Welcome. Thank you for appearing. Rosemary, how did you become involved with Buskaid? When, why, how?
Until relatively recently, was a professional freelance viola player living in London and travelling all over the world with various orchestras and doing, well, to begin with, quite a lot of teaching. And then as I became more busy as a performer, I did less and less teaching in London. And I had the radio on and I heard the sound of music. I listened. The interview was between Fergal Keane and an African who was working in Soweto teaching stringed instruments. So another friend of mine said, I've got somebody in the British Council who would be very interested in this. I got in touch with the British Council, and a month later they paid for me to come out to South Africa.
So when you heard the story, some people teaching people in Soweto, did you even know what Soweto was?
Well, I did know what Soweto was, but I didn't know what to expect. And the actual teaching studio, they took me to the back of the hall, was a lavatory. It was a washroom on the side of the stage. To have these children all coming and say, will you teach me? Will you tune my instrument? It was just extraordinary.
Lesego, I think you were one of the first students.
Yeah.
But so you've been doing this since you were 10 or 11?
Yeah, about 10 or 11.
Right through the viola. You now work in the office for Buskaid and you teach and you play.
That's correct.
So that's been quite amazing. So tell us a little bit about your journey.
I think it was friends. I saw them carrying these cases going up to the Deep Cliff Hall. And I inquired of them, what's happening there? They said, just come, choose an instrument. And I went there. And the only instrument that was available, I started on the violin. And we started on the violin. And we just enjoyed it. It was different. I know a lot of guys grow up in Soweto and they like soccer and they can play soccer. I can't.
Or the guitar, or
yeah,
or
the penny whistle. I think it was what was available to us at that time. There's just something about music making that draws students or kids from everywhere around Soweto. Never at once was I ever teased or anything. They all want to know, where are you going? How can I join? When can I join? Is there space available? It's still happening even now, every day.
It's amazing. But I think that what it does is helps keep the kids off the street, but also has a lot to do with their academic performance. So Lesego, from your point of view, did you find it helped you academically?
Definitely. When I first started, I was suppose an introvert, but even at school, I became a head boy. I was more a problem solver now, openly, and even within the orchestra, I started picking up on roles that I didn't even think I could. So it opens you up. It's amazing what it does for you.
So talking about difficult, you also must have huge challenges in terms of fundraising.
I'm glad you mentioned that. We do. We do.
So do you do that as well?
Yes. We have really amazing support in England from friends of mine and from the wider public. And you know that Redefine is our principal sponsor. But there are big challenges in this country, raising money. And I'm not necessarily talking about corporate sponsorship now. And it's classical music in a township. You know, the people say there are far more pressing things.
Absolutely. So, Rosemary, tell me, did you have mentors? I mean, you played, you had people. Did you have mentors along the way?
My father was a foster child. He was obstinate, confrontational, determined, ambitious. I think all the things that I've inherited from him. And I think that is, you know, a sort of key influence for me.
Lesego, clearly one of your mentors was Rosemary.
Definitely.
Else?
I would say my grandfather, because I grew up with my grandparents and my mom and aunt. And I think, just like Rosemary, it only hits you later in life, the roles that certain people in your life were close to you, that they played, and how influential they were to you. At the time, maybe you were too young or you just didn't see it, but thinking about it as well.
Comes back. And the lessons that you've learned from those particular people, they just hit you and like, wow. It's lessons because of him. And values.
Yeah, and values, exactly. Yeah.
So for people out there who want to get involved in either learning, teaching, giving back, what advice would you have for them?
Just do it. There was no planning, there was no forward planning. It was one day to the next because I had no idea when I came out the first time what was going to happen. Just do it.
Lesego, what about you? What advice would you have for young people?
Just do it. Passion, most of the time, will help you succeed more than talent.
It really has been a fascinating story for somebody to come from the comfort of Hampstead, London, to Soweto and devote over 20 years of your life. The purpose of this program is to connect people like yourselves with people who would like to be mentored. So, Rosemary, how many of your valuable hours can you give us to mentor somebody who would like to do something similar to what you do?
12 or 18 hours.
Okay, so let's take 18, let's round it up to 20. It's over a long period of time, and we have you for 20 hours, for which I really thank you. Next question is, we've got your 20 hours, and that's great, but now we want you to challenge somebody who you think will be a good mentor, either in your field or something completely different. You got somebody that you would challenge?
Well, I can turn in this direction, and I can't see anybody, and I can turn in this direction. Fancy that, Lesego. He would be, well, he already is, a wonderful mentor. When we have children in trouble, I very often call Lesego to be there with me, without me. So I think I would love
so that's
Lesego
great, because now our production team doesn't have to contact him because he's here.
He's here.
We can put you right on the spot. Rosemary's given us 20 hours, okay? I think you can outdo her, okay? So how many hours can we get from you?
I'd say if it's an hour and a half every month, I'd go for 2 hours a month then.
2 hours a month, 24.
He's very busy.
No, but it's over a long period of time. 30.
Okay.
10 more.
Let's
so
we
got 30 from you, 20 from you. That's fantastic. As a token of my appreciation, I'd like to give you a copy of my book.
Oh, fantastic.
Thank you for appearing.
Thank you very much indeed.
If you would like to be mentored by Rosemary and Lesego, please visit our website and register as a mentee. There are now hundreds of hours available. It could change your life. See you after the break. Our special guest is Mike Coppin from Food Lovers Market, who has enjoyed the benefit of mentors throughout his careers and is prepared to give time and advice to some of you out there.
Thanks, it's great being here.
So for our viewers, you might not know Mike, but I'm sure you know the business, Food Lovers Market. It's been a 23-year overnight success.
Yes, started as Fruit and Veg City, in fact. So most people will know it as Fruit and Veg City.
Fruit and Veg City, Food Lovers Market.
Yeah.
You've created a very special niche in retailing. So it doesn't feel like you're going into a spa or a pick and pay. It's a different type of concept. You've almost created sort of a modern, old-fashioned market where you can buy your fruit and vegetables your meat, your fish, and now you've gone into some prepared foods and on a limited extent, some groceries.
Yeah.
So how did the journey start?
Well, my brother and I were OK Bazaar's managers. We started off at the age of 14 on the till in Malvern, OK in Jewel Street. Came straight out of school into OK Bazaar's as trainee managers and spent probably 10 years of our life as trainee managers, became managers of OK Bazaar stores. And then we looked around and at a young age, we thought, well, we knew everything. We can go run our own stores. And we then ended up buying a spa in Vanderbijl Park, probably in the 80s. And we very soon went from running a store with 200 staff to running a store with 4 staff and realized it wasn't that easy. And we opened a second store, which was probably a mistake again. We should have consolidated and just stuck with a 1 and battled our way through with a 1. And we thought sales was everything and the profit will come, and obviously it didn't. And about 2 years later, we decided, no, there was no money in this, and we decided rather to close the spa. And then we sat at home for about a month and said, what are we going to do now? We didn't have a job, where we were going to go back and work for OK Bazaars. And we thought, look, we had done so much on our own already, and we had learned so much on this journey, and maybe we should try and open something again in Vanderbijl Park. Fruit and veg was so big. We thought, let's try something in fruit and veg.
But the interesting thing about that was, I've come to know you as quite a cheeky guy. So what you actually did in order to raise the funding for the business that you were going to buy is you went to one of the creditors who had lost money on your venture, and persuaded them to reinvest in your new business in the hope that they would recoup.
Well, it was in
money.
fact our biggest creditor. We owed him a whole sum of, I think, 80,000 rand. And we said, look, we can't pay you back, but can you help us? We want to open a new business. And he said, look, I'm never going to get my money back, but I'll reinvest with you. And then we learned the secret of owning 51%, because he said, I want to own 51%. So we gave him the majority share, and we learned what that was all about over the years, because we had to buy it back about 7 years later. He immigrated, and we bought it back.
At a much bigger price.
At a huge price.
You were just doing pre-packed vegetables, and you bought the business, the Carrot King, or whatever.
Yeah, we started off as just pre-packing vegetables for OK Bazaars. There was an opportunity in Western Cape to supply them pre-packed vegetables. Nobody was doing it. We said, could we pre-pack vegetables for them? So we started off very small, 1 truck delivering to 23 stores. They supplied the truck because they were our partner. And we supplied the 23 stores in Cape Town. And very soon they gave us the whole range of product, and we had to go buy 10 trucks. So they supplied the finance for the 10 trucks and took a little more share. And it grew into a big... We ran the business for 10 years with them.
And you haven't changed your modus operandi. You're still squeezing the poor landlords.
Yeah, we're still on the market every day, squeezing the best price we can.
So from there, you go and you open... a fruit and veg city, 1 store.
Correct.
In Cape Town.
Yeah.
Then another, and then another.
Yeah.
And you're doing very nicely out of 3 stores. Very different running 3 stores to running 1 store.
Correct. Yeah. So.
Yeah. Then you're approached by somebody who wants a franchise, and that changed the whole business model.
Yeah. So we had the 3 stores in the Western Cape, and we were running them pretty well. And someone phoned from Georgia and said he wants to open a store up there. And we didn't know. We said, look, franchise can never work in this business. It wasn't a model that was tried. And he said, well, maybe we can pay 1%. And we did it on the back of a piece of paper. I think it was a cigarette box in those days. And that was a handshake deal we did with a guy in PE, George Estratia. And that deal stood like that for probably 15 years. And he was our first franchisee. And it turned out great. And that model worked. And we rolled out the franchisees all along the Eastern Cape.
So how many company stores do you have now, and how many franchise stores?
72 corporate stores and about 42 franchise stores at the moment.
A lot of stores. No. And then, of course, you also went into Fresh Stop, which is the garages.
Yeah, so about 5 years ago, we were approached by the Caltex Group and asked, would we consider taking over their convenience stores and put together a model that could work. And we said, well, trial 4 stores with them in the Western Cape again. And we did a model where we did 4 stores, and it worked like a bomb. And they were very happy. And we signed a 15-year agreement with them, alliance agreement, that we would roll out all the stores under the name Fresh Stop. And that's been absolutely flying. We open 1 a week. I think we have 268 stores with them now. That's been great. So every store, every Caltex that opens, we open a Fresh Stop, and all the Star Marts convert to a Fresh Stop now.
So roughly 20 years from closing your spa shops, you're now the kings of fruit and fruit of
we think of cabbage and carrots, really.
Cabbage and carrots. Yeah. It was quite interesting because I had One of my first guests on this show was a guy by the name of Vito Rugazi.
Yes, we know him very well.
He's the carrot king.
Yes.
So also an incredible story how one person changed his life. So one of the things, because I don't know if you remember when I first met you, it was at Park Meadows in Bedford View.
Yeah.
You had relocated your Broomer store.
Yeah.
And I arrived for the opening, and there was Mike Coppin and Brian Coppin standing next to a big display of mangoes, persuading people to buy mangoes.
Yeah.
So are you still as hands-on?
Well, it was amazing to see you pack the mango shop with us, and we still got a photo of you packing the shop. It was the first time a landlord got involved in packing the shop with us. And it was a great opening. It still turned out to be one of our best stores in the group. And we're still very involved. Right, we go to market in the morning, and we're involved in the opening of the stores. We do every opening ourselves.
So the change from Fruit and Veg City to Food Lovers, because Fruit and Veg City was really only fruit and vegetables. Then you moved into Food Lovers, which, as I said earlier, is this marketplace.
Yeah.
And was that a good move in hindsight?
Yes, look, at the time we were purely fruit and veg. We had a little bit of a butchery in some of the stores. And we were getting the call from the customers, we need a bit more than that, You're offering fruit and veg and butchery. What about fish? What about bakery? What about some other foods? Is there a possibility that you can expand this range of fresh? And we traveled a bit around the world, and we saw competition in Europe and in America, and some great stores, Whole Foods and Wegmans in America. We thought, look, this is a concept that's not in South Africa.
Yep.
And let's bring it back. And we opened the first one in Yilfox in 2007.
We'll be continuing this discussion with Mike after the break. Welcome back. We now continue our conversation with Mike Coppin from Food Lovers Market. So one of the big differences is that you source most of your produce at the market, and you are buying at whatever the price is on the market, or the best that you can get, whereas the supermarkets lock in their prices at the beginning of every season.
Well, I think I would look at it as a fresh destination. We class ourselves as being where you would go for your fresh products, be it meat, be it fruit and veg, be it fish and bakery products. We carry a range of grocery products, but really we drive that fresh business all the time. And we allow our managers and our store managers, our franchisees, to buy direct from the local farmers. We encourage them, in fact, in outlying areas to buy by the farmers, to get those farmers planting for them and deliver direct to store. Save that going to market every day or delivering to one central depot. Go straight to the stores.
And save the transport costs.
Save the transport.
The overhead
it's certainly
that goes
certainly
with
the
it.
way to go.
And something else that differentiates you is that you treat your store managers and your franchisees exactly the same. They're all subject to the same inspections.
All the same. All the same. Each store has to run the same system, the same profitability, and each store is run as a separate cost center. So if a franchise store doesn't make a profit, it's the same as a corporate store. They run the same. So we understand all their problems.
Along the way, you've had mentors from when you were at OK Bazaars all the way through. Have they had an impact on the way you do things? And
so all along, I think my dad's been one of our big mentors right from the start, being in retail himself for 40 years, and he's guided us probably until right into the last 10 years. He's been in our stores. He helped us open probably 90 stores and giving us guidance. And we've had mentors all the way along, helping us through where we should go. And people like yourself, we ask a lot of advice and we try and listen and
you don't ask advice, you just ask for low rent.
Okay.
But no, really, it's been a fantastic success, and we as landlords love to have you as tenants. You're a great draw.
Thank you.
Tell me something. Internationally, I know that you had a store in Australia. Have you gone anywhere else besides Australia?
We've really stuck to Africa and Mauritius. We find Africa trading easier than going east or west, really from a time point, and you can get to Africa quite easy. And we feel a bit more at home in the Zambias and Kenyas and Angolas. We feel more at home trading in those conditions. So
are they going well, the international side?
They're going well in terms of sales. The difficulty is getting the money out. It's the Forex. So we're having challenges getting paid for royalties and getting paid for stock. And I think we'll overcome those.
When times get tough,
business
probably comes a little, or stays the same, doesn't go flat to the extent of people selling luxury.
We've been lucky
goods.
that we've been in the basic food stuff, so people have stuck to going back to home cooking and buying product and cooking at home. So we've been lucky that we've shown growth still in the group. Some of the divisions are better than others. We've got a group called Seattle Coffee, which we bought a while ago. That's been trading great and growing all the time. Fresh Stop's growing. So we slowed down a little bit on opening stores this year, purely just to see where the market's going. But we've got quite a few planned for next year. There certainly is some growth out there.
And recently you sold part of the business to
a group called Actis. We sold a
Actis,
30% share 2 years ago to a group called Actis. And they've been great coming on board with some systems getting in place. And it was something Brian and I, we'd been sole owners for 23 years. And we said, look, let's get in a partner that can put some cash in.
No plans for a listing?
Look, it might be part of their plans. We're not so sure yet. We will.
No, you need to list so that you're subject to all the corporate governance that I have to deal
we want
with.
all of that.
Yeah, that's a different challenge.
So that may still come.
So what's next?
Nothing on the cards. We take one day at a time, and we've got a lot of graduates in the program. We've got a graduate program going now, which we're quite keen on, and growing the youngsters in our business. Brian and I are 60s, and so we've got to think of the next generation coming through, what's in it for them. We have 13 youngsters of our own in the group, 14 youngsters, and a lot of other youngsters coming through. So we'll say, where do they gain and what's in it for them?
Any idea, group-wise, how many people are employed?
13,500 people.
13,000 people. That's incredible. So that's a real contribution to the country.
Yeah.
In terms of creating employment. And then, of course, indirectly, the farmers, the people who are working on the farms, and all these kind of things. So you
that's
really...
a great thing. Yeah, with franchise store, every time you open a franchise store, you employ 150 people who in turn feed another 5 people each. So even when corporate stores slow down, we still got the franchise division which keeps growing. So,
and do you find most of the franchisees are successful, or do you find you have to beat them around the head? Because generally speaking, in a lot of fields, franchisees don't like to listen.
It's normal. So I reckon probably 1 in 5 would fail, so you've got 4 that would succeed. But you've got to keep tweaking the model and trying to make it better for them all the time, because it's really all they've got, and you've got to keep looking and making that model better for them and making it work for them. And we've got a new model coming in a smaller size store, so we can open that model out, because it's become expensive to open a store. So we're looking at it.
What does it cost to open a
So an average Food Lovers today is probably 14, 15 million rand. So we're trying to find a model that could open for 7 or 8 million rand. And that'll open the market to a lot more.
So what would that be, 1,000 square meters?
Maybe 800 square meters. And that'll be able to go further out into the smaller towns.
Yeah, interesting.
And that'll open the doors a lot more and a lot easier to run. Less of the difficult departments, the hot foods and the bakeries, but less of that. So those are the difficult departments to run.
Fantastic. Okay, so we didn't bring you here for your good looks.
I'm sure.
So the purpose of this program and what we're trying to do is get people like yourself to mentor people out there who would like to be in retail, food retail or other retail, and who would benefit from the lots of mistakes you made along the way.
I can help them plenty with that.
Help them plenty, because it's very common that we find successful people have made mistakes.
Yeah.
And if we can help people not make mistakes and guide them, it should be less painful for them, because what we tend to forget is the pain that we take along the way.
Always remember the good times easier.
Yeah. So how many hours of your time are you going to give?
So I've been listening to the averages, and it sounds like about 20 to 24 is about the right number. It's about 2 a month, so do you think 24 is about right?
No, for some people, for you, I think we should be up at least 30.
All right, I'll give you 30 hours a month.
You give me 30 hours.
So you always give me more hour one day when it comes to rentals.
You're not getting any rental rebates because you gave us 30 hours. Yeah. Okay, then my next question for you is, do you have somebody else that you could challenge as a mentor who you think would be beneficial to the people out there?
So I mentioned we've got this group called Seattle, which is the owner is Barry Parker, which is him and his dad, Eric.
Yeah.
I think him or his dad would be great mentors.
Eric Parker,
yes.
From the Franchise Association.
Yes,
I haven't seen him for years.
Exactly, so I'm thinking him or his son would be great mentors, and I'd like to challenge them. If not both of them, at least one of them to come in.
Okay, so we've got them to challenge, and they have to give us at least 30 hours.
Yeah.
And if they don't, then we will name and shame them and see what happens.
Well, I know Barry definitely can. I'm not sure if he's there, but Barry can, so we'll phone and tell him.
So thank you so much for joining us. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you for inviting me.
As a token of my appreciation, I'd like to give you a copy of my book, Making My Mark.
That's wonderful.
So if you would like to be mentored by Mike, please visit our website and register as a mentee. There are literally hundreds of hours available. It could change your life. See you next week.